Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Cruising your way next, Off 90. We learn the history of Sugar Loaf Bluff in Winona. We pet some goats at a goat farm. We meet a pole vaulter from Pine Island. And we find a makerspace for creative projects in Mankato. It's all just ahead, Off 90. Hi, I'm Barbara Keith. Thanks for joining me on this trip, Off 90. The history of Sugar Loaf Bluff carves out a story in Winona. What was once part of your average Mississippi River bluff is now Winona's most notable feature. Come with us as we answer a query about a quarry.
Sugar Loaf Bluff is this rock pinnacle that stands about almost 600 feet above Lake Winona, where we're standing next to. And it's about 85 feet tall of just sheer rock face. It's a pinnacle that is a landmark for Winona. I think that everyone who's ever been through Winona or lives here identifies with this as quintessentially Winona.
Well, Sugarloaf Bluff today is much different than it was 160 years ago. Sugarloaf Bluff is part of the driftless area, which was created by the meltwaters of the Mississippi River, and over time carved out these beautiful bluffs around here and the beautiful river valley that we're in.
So the bluff used to look a lot like the other bluffs, just a mound of dirt-covered rock. And it looked a lot like a cap that the Indian chief in Winona wore at that time. His name was Chief Wapasha, and he used to wear a cap that the settlers who came here thought looked very much like the shape of the bluff. And so they called it Wapasha's cap. And in the 1850s, they began to build a city on what we're standing on, which is actually an island. This behind us, this lake used to be the main channel of the Mississippi River way back. And they needed to come up with materials for building their structures. And so they began to quarry a little bit of this last part of the bluffs and take some of the rock to build some sidewalks and some houses.
It was kind of a small operation until about 1878, when a guy by the name of John O'Day bought the property, and John O'Day built a large lime kiln there and started quarrying, big time. There were up to 60 people working at that quarry. They produced a lot of lime up there over the years, and he started with the east side of it, then he went to the south side of it, and then he went to the west side of it, and by the time he stopped quarrying up there in the late 1800s, what we see today is largely what he left.
And what they left behind looked like a lump of sugar, which in those eras was called a loaf of sugar, and so it just became nicknamed Sugarloaf. Well, the thing about Sugarloaf is that you can see it from everywhere really in Winona, and so you can enjoy it from everywhere in Winona. Just visually, it's really scenic to look at. And the sun changes, it goes in front of it throughout the day, and so it looks different all day long. And I think it's probably one of the most photographed features of Winona, and it's been that way for 100 years. Looking back in history, this was the most popular postcard that was being produced even 100 years ago was this iconic picture of Sugarloaf there.
So now there's actually a hiking trail. The hiking trail is a work in progress. There's still some things that need to be done. The biggest user group are hikers, because you drive into Winona and you see this rock tower above town, like it's just a magnet. Like you want to go up there and look at it up close, and then on top of it, the views are amazing. Once you get up there, you can see for 20 or 30 miles once you're up there, up and down the Mississippi River Valley. So now that there's actually an established hiking trail that is a moderate hiking trail, to get you up there, there's nothing steep, and it's a fairly sustainable trail. It's been built and maintained to try to deal with erosion issues. Now we have larger rain events, we have more erosion than ever. And then on top of it, it's a rock climbing park. And the sport of rock climbing is exploding. Now that it's in the Olympics, You have rock climbing films that have won Oscars now. The explosion of indoor climbing facilities, these people who find climbing at a young age, the natural progression is to go outside. And we're lucky enough to have, a local government, local land manager, our city of Winona, who has partnered with the climber user group to develop it as a sustainable rock climbing area. And it's now become probably the best beginner/intermediate sport climbing area in the entire upper Midwest, with climbs that are accessible for small children all the way to folks who are, seasoned climbers. The fact that the way that it has been formed makes it really accessible for new climbers. And so that's my favorite thing to see up there, is when you see whole families up there climbing together, and you see it often. It's a great hike, it's not strenuous, and then you get to do climbs, and there's climbs all the way around the Sugar Loaf. There's like 40 different sport climbs on the Sugar Loaf of varying difficulties. But as far as a sport and an activity, it's exploding, and it's a real community sport. It's an awesome resource for us to have here.
It's really impressive up close. It's giant. It doesn't look as big from down here, but it's absolutely massive up there. But there's nothing quite like this. There's nothing that presents itself as just this absolute pinnacle coming up separate from everything around it, with a 360-degree view that is breathtaking, absolutely breathtaking. And so we really identify this as one of the cornerstones of Winona's identity. One of the #1 searches on our website will be for Sugar Loaf Bluff. And so people want to know about this. They want to come here, they want to climb it, or they want to see it. They want to be part of this piece of Winona's history in some fashion. And so we are giving that to them with all the marketing that we do, just telling them what a great piece of iconic history this is for Winona.
This isn't a story about goat yoga, but it is a story about goats. North of Madison Lake, Minnesota, a small family-owned farm called the Goofy Goat Farm is home to dozens of goats. Kids love to pet the goats, and adults can soak in the goat tranquility.
Goofy Goat Farm is a totally free venue to get enjoyment in life. And goats are so unique. Each goat has their own personality. One goat might not like this person and they love the next person, and it's so unique. So I guess that's what the Goofy Goat Farm is all about and what it is.
So the Goofy Goat Farm is located north of Madison Lake. It's easy to find. You'll see it on the corner. There's about 97 goats. You can't miss it. It started out with one goat, and now there's many goats, as you can see. And people come out and just enjoy it. It's a lot of goats that love to play and eat, so bring all your leftovers and feed them. Play on the swing set with your kids and have a good time.
So the Goofy Goat Farm is a place that, #1, my kids and my family really enjoy. It's a place that we can get access to pretty easily, just being close by. And for us, it's a good way for us to just be able to kind of get the kids out of the house and get them really excited. And all just love to come out here. So it's a good little getaway and an excuse to get them out of the house.
The Goofy Goat Farm to me is tranquility. I come out here to get away from everyday stress, and I've always been a big animal lover, so that's kind of where I find my peace. I think it's great that the owners are willing to do this for the public and free of charge. It's great that people can come out and pet farm animals, especially if they're more of a city person. They can kind of get a little taste of the country life by coming out here.
Experiencing nature, because a lot of people are from the city and they don't really understand how tranquil it is to be out in the country. I grew up on the farm, so I know all about it, and some things I used to take for granted, I don't anymore, because I see what it brings to other people. Things I never even noticed because it was so natural, but it isn't natural for a lot of people. So,
When I was growing up, my mom had a goat, and I remember that it went into the house on the table and ate a $100 bill. And she was so angry that she said, get rid of the goat. So I said to my husband one day, we should have a goat one goat, but I don't think he understands what one is. And that's how it got started.
Well, we started raising goats in 2008. Like my wife said, it was supposed to be 1 or 2 goats, and I can't do anything small. And so, and I fall in love with all of them. Goats are so goofy that we thought that's the perfect name. Goofy Goat Farm, it kind of rhymes, and because they are goofy. Every one of them's crazy in their own way.
They were all over the place and up the trees and jumping on people and everything. So we decided that that was a good name, Goofy Goat Farm.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I don't think there's another place around that's like it. And you come out here and you just kind of forget about everything else and you just worry about, feeding the goats and doing this and that. So it's a nice break for me too, just to take my mind off of work and everything else. So there's something like soothing about being out here, even as an adult, just to kind of enjoy the nature and the scenery and the goats. But yeah, they offer just a lot of joy.
My favorite part is building relationships with all the goats. I've gotten to know each of their personalities and who likes to be pet, who doesn't, and it's just fun getting to know them.
There's a couple of really unique goats out here that we always like to keep an eye out for. There's one that we call the unicorn goat. It's got 1 horn coming out of it, so that one's a good one. And then there's another one that's like an escape artist. So that one, if you open up that gate even for a half of a second, it's coming out and it's difficult to get that little guy back in. So there's a few memorable goats and definitely some really good memories we've made here. We've met so many cool families and so many cool people that we would have probably never met. And they're people that live in the area and that usually have kids. So you always kind of have that common denominator with them with the kids and can break the ice and meet people. So I think not only is it a cool place for the family to come together and get away, but it also brings the community together because you're meeting people that you maybe wouldn't have met otherwise. So I think that's really neat.
When you hear the laughter from the kids playing, that's probably my most special thing, because when they're laughing, then I'm laughing.
I would ask them to come out and visit for the experience. Either you're going to love it or you're not, but at least experience it once and experience goats and how they can be to you and their personality. Yeah, I think it's worth the trip. We have people from other states that visit family in the area. This is the first place they come. Until you experience it, you don't know what it is.
"16 feet 2 inches might not seem like much, but for a pole vaulter, it's a lot. Jarod White of Pine Island showed a special gift back in junior high when he competed with the varsity team. He now holds the Minnesota record in the pole vault.
There's really no other feeling than pole vaulting and getting so high over the bar and then just taking like 2 or 3 seconds to come back down to land on the mat, and you just feel like you're up in the air and you can kind of fly.
Hi, my name is Matt Northrup. I teach physical education and I am the varsity boys track coach in Pine Island High School. I met Jarod probably when he was in 7th grade as a middle schooler coming into our program, and we knew right away that there was something special about Jarod. When we put him into our workouts, he was competing with the best of our varsity guys. And he had that drive, that's something, that it factor about him.
Hello, I'm Jarod White. I am a pole vaulter. I pole vaulted at Pine Island High School, and I hold the all-time Minnesota state record. I have a background in gymnastics from kindergarten to middle of 5th grade, so I have pretty good body awareness and athletic ability from that. I got to do track and field my first time 7th grade. I tried it out and I had pretty natural success in it, and it just kept improving and I kept getting better and better.
He hones his craft. He does everything he can to get the most out of every drill he does.
I vaulted like 11 feet as a 7th grader at True Team State, which was super exciting because pretty much the whole team was there.
Jarod's second attempt at 11 feet.
Getting to do that and like double PR at a state meet and help my team out was really exciting.
Every competition he has, he leaves it all out there during workouts and leads by example. He's everything that a coach could ask for.
I think the hardest thing is repeatedly trying to get consistency, because you have to have the same amount of run, the same jump, the same swing, all different parts of pole vault has to be pretty much the same for it to be a consistent jump.
He's been able to be the kind of role model that you want him to be approachable by other athletes. It's a community. Track and field as a whole is a community. We support one another, and that's something we take pride in Pine Island as a program.
The biggest moment for me in pole vault has been the 16-2 jump at sections. It was very exciting, and I only had 2 meets left to finally clear the goal that I've been chasing all season.
And we knew that if he gave everything he had, he would have a chance to do something special, and when he cleared it, it was pretty amazing.
Charles, please report to the awards stand.
Yes! I got to have the honor of just being there and having him jump into my arms, and it was a pure emotion running around watching Jarod jump off the pit and go and flex in front of his friends and go give Coach Swintek a big hug and find his parents, and because it was something so special that he had been working for and he'd put his mind to doing, and it was great to see him accomplish that goal.
To be able to do that and have basically my whole team watching and coaches, it was very exciting, super thrilling.
He is an amazing, amazing individual, and that is something as a coach you don't ever plan on seeing and may never see again. Jarod White is the GOAT in Minnesota pole vault history, the greatest of all time. He has set the highest mark in the state history in pole vault, and he has also set the highest mark in the state meet in history, all class. I mean, every time he vaulted, we got to witness history, and our community got to be part of that amazing, it was great.
I'm going to attend NDSU on a pole vaulting scholarship next year, and I'm very excited to experience my next few years there and really show them what I can do.
Whether you're a professional, a hobbyist, or just learning, the Mankato Makerspace has the tools and space you need for a variety of crafts, from wood and metal shops to glass blowing to jewelry and leather. Let's see if we can hammer out the details.
The Mankato Makerspace is a nonprofit organization, community shop, studio for artists, craftsmen, makers of all kind to come and learn a new hobby, increase their skill or understanding, or just have space to work.
This is a 6,000 square foot space that offers the tools, the expertise, and the space to create anything you want. We welcome novices, we have people who are skilled but don't have their own tools, we have people creating their own projects right out of Makerspace. We have at the space several different departments that people can come into. We have complete wood shops, metal shops, glass blowing, ceramics.
Stained glass, screen printing, textiles, leatherworking.
We have jewelry making, lapidary. We have 3D printing. We have glow forges that you can laser engrave things. But literally, you can learn to do anything here. In 2015, 2 gentlemen, Rick Esser and Kendrick Dom, wanted a bigger workspace. They were working out of their garage and they just needed more room. So they thought, let's make a space that's bigger and other people can come work with us as well.
But this idea of a multi-discipline, interdisciplinary space became more possible with a lot of different types of minds and backgrounds. All different perspectives contributed to creating what it is now today. Anyone and everyone is welcome here at the Makerspace, whether you are a experienced professional, self-employed entrepreneur, or you are just starting out and little to no experience, wanting to start a new craft or hobby.
The Makerspace, while we are a nonprofit, we are supported solely by membership fees and donations and small class fees. We take a very small percentage. For $50 a month, you have full use of the shop. We also have people who just need to come in and have a use of some equipment one time. So there's a $15 day pass. So truly, we want people to be comfortable using the space and make it as affordable as possible.
So a lot of what makes the Makerspace go round is from our members. They would donate physical tools and objects. When we started off, most of our equipment was donated.
It's really just the space for me. When I came down here, we wanted a different table saw, like a sliding table saw. So when I brought that up, I was like, hey, I'll buy it. You know, I don't mind doing that, but if you guys want to go halves on it, that's cool. And they did. It was awesome, you know. My thing is, like, I could easily buy these things and keep them in my garage, right? And then they would just sit there for hours at a time, days at a time, maybe even weeks, maybe even months, you know, and I wouldn't use them. So what's the point of having them? You know, and so for me, it's like, I don't mind buying a brand new bandsaw or giving them this bandsaw or whatever the case may be. Because to me, it's like, when I'm not using, somebody else's, and I think that just provides for a better community when you're able to share in things that you're not going to be using it at certain time, you know.
So having a community here at the Makerspace not only helps each other, but definitely helps grow as an artist, grow as an individual. You really never stop learning. There are lots of different times that I will utilize the resources of our members and the different experts and our shop leads. I'm always learning things, and then that shared experience with our members, we're always like learning together.
So many people do not have the time or the space to be able to create at home. And to buy the equipment, especially these days, is very, very expensive. So if they have a place where they can come and they can actually get hands-on experience with the tools, they learn how to do a trade, a craft, just an art, it is invaluable for them, because where else are they going to get that? And being able to actually get people in, get hands-on, it gives you a passion in your life, and it also gives you confidence, because you never knew you could do that before.
Classes at the Makerspace are easy enough to find on our website, mankatomakerspace.org. Under the tab of classes, you could surf any available listed classes.
So there are introductions to ceramics, there are date night classes, there are woodshop classes with lathe and bowl turning. We have silk screening, so if you have a project for a family reunion, you can come print all of the shirts here yourself. If you have projects like metalworking where you need to learn to do some welding, you can come on in, take a class, and there'll be someone here that can also oversee you and help you through that. And if we don't have the instructors on staff that know how to do it, we know people in the community that we bring in to teach classes as well. My suggestion to the community, if they're interested, come take a tour. Come talk to the people that work here, talk to the people that are using the space. And the vibe is great, the energy is great. We have people that come here just to work on their own projects because they like this atmosphere. And we are wanting to expand. We want to expand another 6,000 square feet and offer private studio space. We want to have a gallery. We want to have a small shop to be able to sell our members' works. That's just going to come with more support and more membership, and it's going to be a big boon to the community, I think. There's not many places like that here. All we are here for is the community, literally. We're volunteers, we don't get paid, we love being here.
finally, we have a short history of the old Mankato High School from the Blue Earth County Historical Society.
Mankato High School has gone through many changes throughout the years. The first students to start high school classes were in 1867 with the completion of the Union School building. The first class to graduate from high school was in 1876. As more students began going to high school, a need for a separate building grew. Built on the corner of Hickory and 5th Street, the Mankato High School opened in 1891. Additions were made over the years before a fire struck on July 14, 1941. There were very few people in the building on this date and no one was hurt. As this was right before the U.S. entered World War II, the building was halted from being rebuilt. The new high school, now Mankato West, was completed in 1951, just before the '51 flood, but cleaned out enough for students to walk across the stage for graduation. Mankato East opened in 1973. For more information about historical topics, visit our website at blueearthcountyhistory.com.
We've reached the end of this tour. Thanks for riding along. See you next time. Off 90.
Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.